This video is for class 3 science. In the last class, I have explained you the characteristic of living things. Today, I am going to explain you the characteristic of non-living things. So, what are the characteristic of non-living things? Non-living things, they do not need food. They do not require food. They cannot move by itself. They cannot grow. They do not grow. Then they do not breathe. So whatever characteristic a living things possesses, all the characteristic just opposite to that is the characteristic of non-living things. So let us see what are the characteristic of non-living things. Number one is they do not need food and water. So the first characteristic of non-living things is they do not need food and water. Number two, they do not breathe. Number three, they cannot move from one place to another by its own. So I have written three characteristics. They do not need food and water to live. They do not breathe. They cannot move from one place to another by own or by itself. The next characteristic is they do not grow. Number five, they do not reproduce. Number six, they do not feel changes. And number seven, they do not excrete. Now you all can see the characteristic of non-living things are exactly the opposite of the characteristic of living things. Like living things, the living things grow and non-living things do not grow. Living things reproduce, non-living things do not reproduce. So the characteristic of non-living things are exactly the opposite of the characteristic of living things. So by knowing the characteristic of living things and non-living things, we can differentiate between living things and non-living things. So the difference between living things and non-living things are, if I take food, they need food, and they do not need So simply we can say, we can write the characteristic of non-living things, and for we can write the characteristic of living things under the column of living things, and then write the exactly opposite characteristic for non-living things. This is how we can differentiate between living things and non-living things. So here we come to the explanation of the chapter. In the next class, I will be explaining you all, or I will be discussing you all the question answers and question answers related to the chapter. You all please try this, fill in the blanks, tick the correct option true and false. By going through the chapter, you can easily find out the answers. From tomorrow, we'll start with the question answers. I'll be writing the question answers on the blackboard, and you can copy it in your copy. Okay, thank you so much for today.